The hardest thing in business is convincing somebody to spend the money that they should not be spending. And that's what we are going to talk about in today's video. Most marketers still think that the sales cycle starts when somebody decides that they're going to buy a service or a product. But by then, it's already too late. The buyer's mind is already made up, not because your product or your service is more expensive or less quality, it's because your competitor was there before you were. The whole idea of marketing is to shape the perception before they engage with your brand, your website, your product, or your service. Only 3% of people who are on your website, who are looking at your products, who are looking at your services, are ready to do business with you. And today, on this video, I'm going to show you how to attract the other 97%. Great marketing does not push a product or service down somebody's throat. Great marketing creates an inception moment where you place the idea in a very subtle manner into somebody's mind. And it keeps showing that idea to them until that idea becomes their own. This is not about being louder. It is about being earlier. Because you're not really fighting your competitors. You are fighting beliefs. You are fighting against what they have always done. You are fighting against the default behaviors that they have never questioned. You are fighting against fundamentals and core values. And that is the part that most business owners and marketers miss. The fact that only 3% of people are ready to do business with you, and the other 97% are either unaware or they simply are not at a point to make any sort of decision yet. Again, most businesses put over 90% of their budgets into this 3%. That is why you hear brands say, well, we tried Facebook marketing and it didn't work. Well, we tried LinkedIn marketing and it didn't work. We tried SEO and it didn't work. We tried cold email outreach and it didn't work. It did not work because you tried to push the same message to the entire levels of awareness funnels. Let's talk about that. You don't need a strong offer. You need a strong starting point. See, selling is not about dumping a bunch of features on somebody or screaming it louder than the next guy. It's about walking somebody through a mental progression, a journey from confusion to clarity to conviction. First, you introduce doubt, a crack in the way that they think. You nudge them to ask themselves, maybe what I'm doing is wrong, maybe what I'm doing is not working. That is the seed. That's the moment that the door opens. Next, you show them possibility. You show them that a better path exists, that there's a better option. There's a better, smarter way to solve this problem. Then you make it believable. You bring the idea down to earth. You make them think, this could actually work for me. And then, this is the most important step, you build trust. You make them confident that you are the person, you are the company, you are the brand that they trust, that they feel comfortable moving forward with. They begin to say something like, this brand gets it, this guy gets it. I want this brand, this guy, this woman to be the one that guides me in the right direction to help me solve this problem. But here is the key. This transformation does not happen with one step or one touch point. Yet most brands, again, spend 90% of their budgets on one touch point, either the first acquisition or the last acquisition point. They say things like, I spent $50,000, I did not get any leads. Well, you did not move people through the levels of awareness stages. You cannot shift fundamental beliefs with one email or one ad or one campaign. This happens through a sequence of well-timed, orchestrated touch points, all built around the core idea, a core fundamental with different perspectives. Sometimes that message comes through an emotion, something that is painful, that hits a specific pain point. Sometimes it's logic, a clear, rational explanation of why you should buy this product or hire this agency or buy this service. Other times it's a story, it's a statistic, it's a testimonial, it's a case study. It's simply overabundance of proof that you are the brand they want to do business with. You are the brand they trust. You're not really changing your message, you are changing your delivery. Same belief, multiple sticking points and perspectives. That's how you make it stick. And when you build this system properly, you don't have to chase leads. You simply create demand long before the buyer even realizes or recognizes that they need something. Long before they realize that they are ready. Here is yet another misconception: retargeting. Most people think that retargeting is about getting people back to your site. It's not. It is to help people move forward with the decision-making process. Buyers move at their own pace. Some people just see something and they're ready to buy, or they're ready to move forward. They've made the decision quickly. But most people take their sweet time. They need to process, they need to think, they need to feel like the decision is their own. That's why relying on a landing page or just send them a whole newsletter blast, 200,000 people kind of approach is not going to cut it. You can't expect somebody to shift their entire mindset with one touch point. It takes a system, one that shapes the way that they perceive a problem, a solution, and then maybe, if you're lucky, you or your brand. This takes time. Every message is not just a reminder, it's a belief builder. You're not just saying, hey, come back. You are saying, hey, here is the next piece to that puzzle. That's how you create momentum, not by repeating, but by progressing. Because every piece of communication, every email, every text message, every landing page, every campaign that you send has only one job: to answer the next question that they're asking in their head, to build the next belief system before they say yes. That's not luck, that's not volume, that is intentionality. And when you create momentum on intentionality, it compounds. Now, if you want this to work at scale, if you want potential customers, potential buyers to go from "I have never heard this before" to "I am ready to buy this," then you need to structure your strategy around what we call 5 levels of awareness. Let's break it down. At the bottom, you have the unaware. These are people who don't even know that there's a problem. They're not looking on Google for solutions. They're not comparing features. They're just living status quo day to day, not knowing that your brand, your service, anything about you exists. And your job as a marketer is to disrupt that, not with a product pitch, but with a story. A new perspective, something that makes them stop and think, I've never thought of it that way. Next, you have the problem aware. These people feel the pain. They know that something is off, but they can't quite diagnose it yet. This is where you show them what's really going on. You name the problem, you agitate it, you make it tangible. Then comes the solution aware. Now they are searching. They're comparing options. They are in research mode. That is your momentum to lead, not to sell. You help them navigate the space. You show them, teach them the trade-off. You show them how to think, not just what or how to buy. After that, we hit product aware. Now they know about you. They're considering you, and this is where proof matters. You stack case studies, testimonials, performance data, everything that says we've done this hundreds of times before and we can do it for you as well. Finally, the most aware. These people are ready to act. They just need the green light. These are your sales to lose. At this stage, you are removing friction. You are reinforcing urgency. You are making it clear and easy to say yes. Here is the problem. Most brands only show up for the last 2 stages. They're fighting for buyers already deep into the process. The same buyers that were already influenced by some other brand or somebody else. But the real leverage, it's in the first 3 stages. That's where beliefs are still forming. And if you show up there, you are owning the entire path to the decision. Let's break it down. Most brands are spending backwards. Here is how it should look. 60 to 70% of your budget goes to the unaware and problem-aware stages. Storytelling, insights, emotional connection. 20 to 30% go to the solution-aware and product-aware stages. Those are the explainers, the comparisons, the education. 10% goes to the most aware. offers, urgency, and calls to action. That is how you build a sustainable marketing engine. But budget alone is not enough. You have to meet the potential buyer at where they are. In the unaware stage, start with a question or a belief shift. Problem-aware, agitate. Show the cost of inaction. Solution-aware, teach. Don't pitch. Product-aware, prove. And most aware, convert. And across every level, your retargeting is not just bringing them back to the website. It's a belief progression. You are not selling to different people. You're guiding the same person from confused to curious to convinced and then to committed. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about Airbnb. When they got started, nobody thought that it was a great idea to stay in a stranger's home. That's unaware. So they did not talk about listings and how cheap they were. They planted a belief. Don't just go there, live there. They showed real people in real homes. They sold immersion, not accommodation. Then people started to question hotels. Too sterile, too generic. That is problem aware. Airbnb leaned in. Why stay in room 509 when you could wake up to a forest view in a home in Bali? Now we are at solution aware. People started searching unique places to stay, traveling like a local. Airbnb showed up with options. Cabins and homes and houses and ranches in over 190 countries. Next, product aware. They delivered trust. Superhost badges, reviews, testimonials. Finally, most aware. They hit you with an ad like, still thinking about Lisbon? Scarcity triggers, personalized nudges, loyalty perks. They did not wait for demand. They built it, belief by belief, stage by stage. The hardest thing in business is convincing somebody that they should spend money on something that they don't think they should be spending it on. But when you show up early, just kidding, we're not done yet. When you guide that belief with clarity, timing, and structure, you don't have to convince anyone. They already believe because you help them get there. So stop for waiting for demand to show up. Start building it. One belief, one message, one step at a time.